All right, what's up, everyone? It's Ballietbran. Got the weekly stream as always. Let's see, it's September 12th, a decent day in Seattle, and today is just going to be kind of a general questions and answers from the chat. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them and just hang out. I know during the Nights of Crypto. Anytime there's someone else on the stream, it's kind of hard to answer all the questions because they go by so quick. So I wanted to kind of go over some questions that were maybe missed. And then, like I said, say what's up to the chat. So shout out to Bree, Anonymous. Let's see who else. Easy. We got Van. Sensei Dozy says, what's up, Bran? I love these Q&As. Yeah, I mean, everyone kind of has their own thing that they provide, right, to the community. And mine's nothing really specifically, or it's nothing too specific. So I try to just interact with the chat because, it's something that I like doing. So going to be a great day. Yeah, the price is doing good. And, any time that you have something that pumps up a whole bunch and then kind of consolidates a little bit, that's always a good time to, in my opinion, be accumulating if you're ever looking for those kinds of buys. So we'll go over that as well. Richard had a couple interesting posts that I think are important for people to consider, right? So you're not missing an opportunity. So without further ado, let's do the 88-second intro, and we'll hang out with the chat.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like. Be sure to share. Be sure to comment. Say hey. Say hey, hey, oh. Hey, yeah. Say hey, boom. Say hey, yeah. Say hey, hey. Woo-hoo. Stake that hick, stake that hick. 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 Every time I look up, price went up. I go to the store, come back, price went up. Every time I look up, price went up. No matter what I do, price is still going up. Hell yeah. Ching, ching, motherfucker. Ching, ching. I am the book. Ching, ching, motherfucker. I just keep hitting jackpot after motherfucking jackpot. We still jackpot, bitch!
Thank you, Richard, for creating and founding the most amazing and disruptive financial technology cryptocurrency ever. Thank you, sir. And nice streams, Mr. Ballietbran.
Cool. So yeah, thanks everyone for spending your Sunday, whatever day it is for you, with me in the chat. And like I said, if you guys have any questions, you guys or gals, definitely ask them. So all I can really say before we kind of get into it is PulseChain is something that's very apparent to the rest of the crypto market that we all need. One of my family members wanted to onboard some more hex because they were looking at their Staker app, right? And we were making nearly new all-time highs every single day. And so they wanted to onboard, and it was like $600 that they wanted to onboard. And, some people have more, some people have less. They already have some hex. But the point that I'm getting at is when I started to onboard them, get them into the process, the Ethereum gas fees were so high the day that we were going to do it. And of course it was a weekday, so I'll get into this a little bit later. But the fees to send it would have been like $55 just to send it. And then obviously once you have the hex, now you've got to stake it, which is another transaction. And so the point that I'm getting at is, luckily we were able to do it actually Friday night during the Discourse Syndicate that RG3 does every Friday at 7 p.m. where everyone else can join. So luckily the gas does fluctuate, and I was able to send them some of the hex with a lower transaction fee. But it's something that's super apparent in crypto in general that's needed, because what it comes down to is that fee that you're actually paying is pretty much it's almost like a racket, but you're paying a middleman to facilitate that transaction. And not only are you paying the ETH network, but if you're any sort of like environmentalists and stuff like that, it's actually pretty bad on the environment with the proof of work. So shout out to Richard for coming up with the solution, which is going to be PulseChain. And I think we're all eagerly awaiting for that to come out. I'm still fingers crossed by the end of the year that it should hopefully be out, but we will see, because sometimes software can be very finicky, and sometimes the smallest little thing can cause some delay. So let's say what's up to the chat. Yeah, shout out to everyone. Going to try and answer every single question and go over all of it. So Adam says, hello, ladies and gentlemen of Hex. Hex Mackenzie says, hey, babes. Hey, Ballietbran. Jay, everything. Salute, fam. Go Hex. Pulse. Exactly. Yeah, Pulse is going to be really cool. It's cool to see that a lot of us have done very well with Hex, and that we're going to get copies. That's awesome. But I think what it comes down to is it's really disgusting to see even those longer stakes, the actual end stake fee. It costs more of a fee to calculate the end stakes than it does to start it, because the ETH network has to go back and verify each day that you got the interest that it says that you are owed. Someone says, did you see a guy, or Tommy, I should say. Tommy says, did you see a guy do a, let's see, what is that? $50 million USD 10-day stake, almost $200,000 interest. Yeah, that's one thing I did mention. There's the Hex whale bot, right, that says on Twitter, the really big triggers, right? It'll say, oh, someone just bought $250,000 worth of Hex, or sold $250,000, etc. And what I'm starting to notice is it used to be like, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. And now the sales are like I said, $250,000, $500,000, $1 million. And that's exciting to see for someone like myself that's been here since day one and earlier, because it shows me that some of those people, I don't know if they're selling out completely, but they're leaving. They're taking their profit after like 9,500x, something like that, before staking. A lot of people, they're going to realize those gains, and good for them. But I said that because you see, like this person mentioned, $50 million. We're seeing big money coming in, and the demand for Hex has never been more high. So we'll definitely take a look and kind of go over it. I mean, right now Hex is around 41 cents. When I'm looking at the charts and stuff, I try to look at the weekly, the daily, monthly, stuff like that, because it's really healthy to zoom out, right? It's not healthy to be, I see some people looking at like the 15-minute, the 30-minute, etc. And you can do that, but I like to look at more of a general overview. And I'm also going to be experimenting with the black background. This is just the regular setup when you go to uniswap.hex.vision. And so anyways, we can see, like I said, as opposed to the daily, this is just the weekly, and this isn't any like TA magic or anything, but these are just general trends of what I'm seeing of us kind of, arcing upwards. And when you look at the version 1 that has the whole price history, it's like a giant parabola. And if you zoom that out and then consider the 6.5 million X return gains that Hex is supposed to do, you can see that that's an even bigger parabola. And we're not even, we're still at that kind of like flat line of the parabola when you zoom out and you compare it to what it's designed to do, and then some. So yeah, I heard some people kind of complaining about some price dippage and whatnot, but I mean, you must have got in this week or something, because since August 2nd, it's been literally all green candles. And so I like to look at that. I mean, last week we had a nearly 58% gain, and how awesome is that? I had a buddy that I onboarded, and I was telling him, like, hey man, it might not make sense to wait. It might make sense to just get in now, because you never know when it's going to dip. And like I mentioned earlier, the demand for Hex has never been more high. And so he did. He got in at I think he said 25 or 26 cents. And needless to say, he's doing very well. All right, MJ, let's answer this person's questions. A few questions, if I may, of course. That's what this is for. Expected date for airdrop, roughly October. I don't think so. Like I said, as far as that first question, I'm fingers crossed that we'll have the airdrop and launch PulseChain by the end of the year. And, that gives Richard some extra time, some leeway. And for anyone that doesn't know, Hex is a lot more complicated, in my opinion, than PulseChain, because everything had to be written in code first, and then audited, and then locked and completed. But with PulseChain, you can always do improvements and things like that. But Hex, I said that because Hex was delayed like 8 months, and there was a meme of 4 more weeks. And so it seems to be a little bit similar, where with software, it's just really hard to predict. So my fingers are crossed for the end of the month, the end of the year. The next question they say, let's see, are you also expecting the Hex price to be the same or more than eHex? I expect it to be parity at launch. Like Richard had mentioned, that the network for capital gains and tax purposes needs to start off at 0, but the network is still going to be live. But then once he actually opens the floodgates of the automated market makers, like the fork of Uniswap, stuff like that, then that's when you'll see price discovery. And if people want to sell their eHex to Hex, that's fine. But that just gives even better opportunity for the people that have been waiting and just wanting those lower prices. So Tommy says, will Hex go to 50 cents next week, do you think? Let me go back here. I mean, I think it's very possible. I definitely think it's possible. I mean, we nearly went to 50 cents this week, right? We went to 0.492. So that's nearly 50 cents. And I mean, I don't see why we couldn't do that. What is Hex? What the Hex? Nice. Hex should be $1. Yeah, and that's the cool thing too is, like I said, a lot of us at the beginning thought 1 penny was just some magical number, and that was the limit. And then we hit a penny, and then the rest is history. We continued to make new all-time highs, and it really just shows you that this is programmed currency. It is programmed money, and it's just doing what it was designed to do. So it's awesome to see that everything's working great. Easy says, yes, next week could hit 60s. But remember, guys, stock markets will correct 10%, and crypto will also correct on September and October. It was really cool to see the rest of the market, Bitcoin and all the other things aside from Hex, in the red. And Hex, not always, but it tends to usually be in the green. And I've said this before, but Hex really is a black hole for financial capital. And what you're going to see is those people that had the 6.5 million X in Bitcoin. Those people are very few and far in between, because with Bitcoin, you can't actually lock your Bitcoin, right? It's not incentivizing. Well, you can lock your Bitcoin, but you're not incentivized to. And so, once you see your first million X gains, most likely you're going to sell, because, when do you think it's going to dip? But what I'm getting at is with things like Hex is the top third market cap by cryptocurrency. And, it's done top 3 with all this gatekeeping and has all of this opportunity and potential. And we saw that CoinMarketCap on the Nights of Crypto stream before I started. Someone in the chat, I think it was Hexander, so shout out to him. But someone had mentioned that they had listed it properly for like 2 minutes, and then went back to the manual 201 position. But Hex is still super early, and a lot of people they don't want to be on the losing horse for such a long time. When you see that Hexicans are celebrating dips, when you see that they're celebrating almost every single week or every day sometimes new all-time highs, that's eventually a team that those people most likely will want to jump on. What's good, Brand? Thanks for your great content. Hex to the moon. What's up, Arte Suave? Angelo says, yo, everyone, checking in from work, trying to earn some dry powder for more Hex. Yeah, that's the spirit, man. It really is. I love being able to make extra capital and have that go into things like Hex and just assets that are actually going to work for you, right? Because when you're working, generally you're working for fiat, right? For dollar or whatever whatever fiat currency that you have, and that's a super inflationary currency. It's not something that you have control of. And so when you can take that money that you're making, obviously pay all your bills and stuff, but when you can invest it into things that you do have control of, we know that Hex is not going to have some random inflation, some random hyperinflation. We know that for a fact. So it's nice to be able to make that money grow. There's also another Twitter account that's like what your Hex stimulus check would be worth. And I think it's worth like $3.25 million, something like that. So I think that's really, really cool. Let's take a look real quick here, just because I mentioned it. So it's actually worth almost $1 million. But let me just show you guys and gals, just so y'all can see. So this is exactly what I'm talking about, right? That the stimulus check that they printed out of thin air, most people, and let me do this. So most people, they just spend it on things that were consumer items and, just supporting the other companies. But the smart people, myself included, put it into things like Hex that are actual assets that are that are going to work for you and that are going to stand the test of time. So you can see this is 2 days ago that your April 2020 stimulus check would be $987,000. And here's the thing. Exactly. Plus more than that, plus more than a year and a half worth of interest if you staked. That's really where the beauty of Hex kind of comes in from, is you almost would have had $1 million from 1,200 before staking. And then if you had staked, obviously you're getting paid out in Hex every day that you're staking, and you would have done a lot better. Okay, so Hex Mackenzie, one question. Let's see. Do you know if we can generate yield from PLS that we get from sacrifice? Can we be a validator? Technically, anyone can be a validator, right? It's based off of the amount of pulse that you have, but most likely, no one's going to be. Not everyone, obviously, is going to be a validator, right? I think Richard said about 33, but it's delegated proof of stake, right? So you're delegating that stake to the validator, and then whatever parameters they have as far as the interest and fees, you'll get a portion of that based off of the amount of percentage, I guess, that you delegated. Hey, what's up, Piston Broke? Yeah, and COTG, Children of the Grave. Nice intro. Yeah, you can thank Joe Hexotic, and I always thank him almost every single time. That's definitely, Joe Hexotic's got some really good music talent. And speaking of music talent too, Fred Durst and DJ Lethal, they're Hexicans now too. And DJ Lethal is the producer of Limp Bizkit and House of Pain, things like that. And I know Motley Investor, he was talking about that, it looks like DJ Lethal's a Hexican, but we can't really confirm because that might be like a hacked account type deal. And let me go to his little Twitter account since we're kind of on it and just talk about it, right? So now we know people like Robert Kiyosaki with Charlie and Rollo Tomasi. They were talking about Hex and he was asking those important questions like, hey, do you think Hex is better than Bitcoin? And 1,000 million percent it is, right? Like I said, Bitcoin doesn't pay you to lock up the coins. And the actual externality for the miners that Bitcoiners have is negative, right? They're mining the Bitcoin and then they're selling it for the electricity bills. But with Hex, you don't have any negative externalities because the actual mining and the actual inflation is going to the stakers. And you can only be a staker by locking up your Hex via proof of stake. So it's just a win-win overall, and not to mention the security, right? Too. When it comes to Bitcoin, it's had 2 inflation bugs. They're called critical vulnerability bugs, and it really could have been the end of Bitcoin if they were fully exploited and done so properly. But Hex doesn't have any of that because all of the code is locked. But yeah, let me go back to the Twitter real quick here and just share that DJ Lethal post, right? So we're just going to go into the media part here. So this is like the MTV Movie Man thing. Let me, you know what? I don't even think I have the audio. One second here. Sorry about this. I don't think I have the audio actually shared. Let me go back into StreamYard and and just click the audio box, because DJ Lethal, it's really cool to see that more people are coming on board. Motley Investor had a onboard interview with one of these pro soccer players, and that was cool. And we're just seeing smart people understanding it more and realizing that, hey, if Bitcoin's already done its 6.5 million X, it's going to be really hard to see even 2X, let alone the things and the numbers that Hex is doing. So it makes sense to get on the younger, better, faster horse that's just better. So let's check this out real quick here.
One more.
You know what? The audio actually is playing not in my headphones. Anyways, we're not going to play that just because the audio is not working right this second. But yeah, so this is the part that DJ Lethal was talking about that Motley Investor had kind of questioned, and is pretty much showing his studio and pretty much saying that, hey, this is him. So I thought that was really cool. And like I said, Fred Durst too. We can actually just take a look real quick. Yeah, he has like a million followers. So 1.1 million followers. He's following 3 people. And who's he following? He's following Richard, Hex, and Pulse. So thought that was pretty cool. I'll try to get the headphones working for the next time that I share the audio, because I want you guys to be able to hear it too. Hello world and fellow Hexicans. What's up, Bran? Hey, what's up, Hexagade? Love your work. Question: apart from Hex staking and Pulse delegating, what's the strategy for making money on Pulse? I mean, that kind of really is the strategy, in my opinion. I don't know if there's any other strategy that I could think of personally, because, like I said, it's different than Hex. You're not going to be able to time lock and kind of have the interest that Hex does, but you're going to be able to delegate to the validators, and that's really all you can do, in my opinion. Okay, cool. I think we got the headphones connected now, but let's see here. So Lesson Burned, I like that name, says, anyone know where to get that shirt? Yeah, of course. So it's on Etsy. One second here. So it's etsy.com, and then I'm going to type in. I'll show you guys and gals in just a second here. The specific person was called Crypto Styles USA, and I'm going to share the screen right now, but I'll kind of lead you on where you'll need to go. So let's see right here. So yeah, this is Etsy, and you can see that there's many different vendors, I guess, many different people that are having the Hex, but it's Crypto Styles USA. So this specific person, the seller, we're just going to click on this, and it opened up actually in a new tab. So let me put it back in the main, but it's this person, the Crypto Styles USA right here, that you'll get the actual shirt from. So I'm not going to show it exactly, but you can pretty much see that Hex is right there. And then you can scroll down, see all their different shirts. Motley and a couple of different buddies, they have some merch going as well. I think it's like hexmerch.com. And it's pretty cool. It's awesome to see that there used to be a dilemma of like, how do we get this Hex merch, right? Because Richard's the only one, and you've got the license itself that is pretty unique. And anyways, now we've got a whole bunch of merch to be able to represent Hex, Pulse, things like that. Yeah, Amazon has it too. I've got a few links in the description that are just like general Hex shirts, but I think they have Pulse shirts as well. So Tommy says, just did another $3,500 USD on board at the dip today. Okay. Gas was also okay today, which is still crap, of course. Yeah. Like I said, I was happy to have the send be like $5. And I guess someone actually had a comment here. So Gold Star 1337, I like that name. Says thank you, by the way. They say let's see. Hey man, we salute you. Hex Nordic and Hex Norway are trying to onboard and help newcomers. That's awesome. Shout out to you. It really is worldwide. I was watching maybe like 2 days ago, but there's like Hexicans in Africa and Kenya, just literally all around the world. I don't know about China, but I know Asia. And it's really cool to see because it goes to show you that it's not just suitable for one person, right? It's definitely something that works for everyone. And at the end of the day, it is just a financial product. And so it's cool to have that work. Yeah, Johnny says, you missing the party too? Yeah, Freddie, he had invited me, but I had something else actually coming up this weekend that I had to stay here for. Otherwise, I totally would have been there. And let's actually share that, because now that I think my audio is working, we can take a look. So for anyone that doesn't know, obviously I can't share too much, but only what's been mentioned publicly. But Freddie Quotes, he's the artist that did Hexagon Anthem. And he also made another song that was not hex related at all, but it was pretty cool. Had a good vibe. And let's see. Let me try and find it. Crypto Coffee might have deleted it. But the point that I'm getting at is Freddie made another song talking about it's called the Furu Eulogy, and I'm pretty sure he's mentioned that name as well. So it does look like Coffee did delete that. I guess that sucks that he deleted it. So can't really share that one specifically, but pretty much what it was Kareem and Matty Allen and a handful of Hexicans doing the that meme with the black guys in the casket, the person's in the casket and they're doing the dance thing. It was pretty much that meme. But anyways, yeah, so there's a lot of Hexicans right now in the I'm not going to say which area, but in Freddie Quotes area of the States. And they're all same thing with Joker. He had his face paint, but they're all kind of there to do the music video. So I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, Chester Adlin says, can you please explain by what mechanism the price of T-shares keeps going up? Thank you. I still don't understand. Yeah, of course. So a lot of people look at the T-share in dollar just because it's the thing that we know the most, right? Or whatever fiat currency that you have. But pretty much it's something that's just designed in the system itself of the code. So the T-share itself is it's pretty much the design itself is what kind of mimics the compounding interest. And so there's a couple different ways that you can do compounding interest. You can have something, you can have a number and you can have it go super small in a whole bunch of zeros and decimals, or you can have a number and just have it go up and incredibly high. And with the T-share rate, what it is the cost for 1 trillion shares in hex, it only goes up in the value of hex because that's just what the system is designed to do. And it's designed to be more expensive the next day, a month from now. And that kind of is what makes the compounding interest aspect of the staking. So that's why we say when you stake that staking today is the best time that you can stake, because maybe a month from now, the price might be cheaper in dollar, right? Hex per dollar, but the actual cost of hex that it takes to get that same T-share is going to be significantly more per month. And so sometimes you'll see 15, 8, 10 hex a day extra that it costs to make a T-share. So pretty much the one in dollar, like I said, is just something that we kind of use to relate to general numbers, but that actual T-share itself for one T-share, which generates you the interest, that's a number that only goes up. And something that we're also talking about too, shout out to Motley, to Wendy's for Tendies, and in Wave 3 TV, they had a really good stream the other day talking about, not just calling them T-shares in general, because a lot of people are being priced out, and I don't blame them, right? So we're just calling them shares, which is your portion of the inflation that's awarded throughout the stakers. Okay, and I'm going to pull up another website here for you as well, so we can look at this this website. So it's called apphex.win/charts, and I'll kind of try and paint a little bit better of a picture of what it is. So right now, this is what we were talking about. That's the T-share in dollar. So it's almost $7,660 for a T-share. But when we scroll down, I believe right here, this share rate, this is what mimics the compounding interest. And we can thank Rapid Prototype, which is Dev Kyle. He's one of Richard's really good developers, but he's the one that actually came up with the system. And it's awesome because the way that it works is supposed to maximize the network of Ethereum to where the gas is not super expensive by the time you have to end stake it. And so anyways, yeah, you can see that right here, there's a giant spike up. And what happened here was the big payday in Hex, where we started out at like 10,000 Hex per T-share, and now we're at like, 18,630 something. So this number only goes up. You can see that these little divots are just continually going up. And like I said, that's kind of what mimics the compounding interest. Now this is actually pretty interesting. So you've got the price in Hex right here, this white line, and then this yellow line is the I think it's just the cost of the T-share. But what you have is this actual cost of the T-share has gone up more than the price of Hex. So Hex has gone up amazing. It's almost gone up, I think, like 9,500x. But that T-share has actually gone up a lot more. I think it's gone up like 15,000x now. So that's pretty cool. All right, let's get on to the next question here. Safe Moon is a junk. Yup, I sold mine in June. Yeah, it was pretty cringe one time when I told my coworker about Hex under a penny. Yeah, maybe I should sell my Safe Moon for Hex. I definitely would. It's a literal Ponzi scheme. But anyways, my coworker that I've told him about Hex, it was half a penny at the time. I was like, hey man, here's what you can do. He's like, nah man, I think I'm just gonna go into Safe Moon instead. And he's like, it's the safest way to the moon. And just little narratives like that are just so cringe. And it goes to show you that, like I said, it's a literal copy of a Ponzi scheme from 2017 and called Proof of Weekends. And so, just like every other Ponzi, it's going to have its day where, it kind of does one of these little chop things, then eventually does the death dive. Eagle Tay says, do you believe we will hit 90 cents by November? I mean, it's definitely possible. It's, I'm not a price oracle or anything like Richard is. He's definitely the major price oracle. And obviously he doesn't want to do that on his own project because that would be like future expectations of profit. But here's what I will say. I know Hexologist has the price target of $2.01. I know that a lot of us haven't even seen the testnet be launched for PulseChain. And when that announcement is made, I think we're going to see a significant price increase because it's going to tell everyone that, hey, Richard's been working. They've been working on the nodes, having two of the nodes together with the blockchain. But once the testnet's announced, it's like, okay, now it's go time. Now it's maybe 3 or 4 weeks before that mainnet's launched. And yeah, to answer your question, I think it's possible. It's all kind of just dependent on what continues to happen. But all we do know is with supply and demand, that with the people that are staking Hex every single day, it's reducing the current supply on the market. You also have the liquidity on the market too. You can go to hexdailystats.com. We can take a look at that real quick because it really does come down to supply and demand. So let's take a look. It was Ryan Lopez and sorry about this, Togosh. One of the guys I met in Vegas, Togo, I guess is his name. And he's the one that created Hex Daily Stats with Ryan as well. So this is that website that I'm talking about. Let me remove this. And I can kind of tell you what I'm meaning. So this is a liquidity pool, right? And it's pretty much across all exchanges, all of the markets where you can buy and sell Hex. That's what's available. So 57 million, just call it 58 million, right? But we're seeing that even just say September 3rd, that we had 69 million. That's like a 12 million difference, or call it 11 since I said 58. But the point is if we go back in time and just see what the liquidity used to be, let's just say page 3, we can see it used to be 90. And then if we keep going back, because I was going back pretty far the other day. Let me just keep going here. So like this, you can see 200 million on March 29th. And what Richard had learned was And I'm not saying that he's the one supplying it, but there's such a thing called minimum viable liquidity, where if someone's going to sell, you want it to, you kind of want it to affect the market. Or if someone's going to buy, you want it to affect the market, to have the ultimate price pumpage up, as opposed to being able to sell millions of dollars worth and not have the price move much at all. So Richard kind of learned that minimum viable liquidity term that I was telling you about. And yeah, it's pretty cool to see, because it really goes to show you the rarity of Hex. It's only getting more rare each day. And a lot of people look at the general like supply. They look at the total supply on Etherscan. And what they forget to realize is like about 95% of that supply is not ever able to be touched. And so there's what the supply is, and then there's what you can actually buy and sell. And what you can actually buy and sell is a lot lower than what people think. And yeah, we did make our 13th doubling, by the way, as I begin to read this person's question. So I saw a picture of Hex doubling over the last couple of years and predicted higher prices doubling over the next few, up to hundreds of dollars. Does it have any substance? Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay, I know what you mean. Yeah, that was actually Jexa. I did get a little clip of that too. The original stream was on Wake Up Hex, which is on my clip as well. It always shows the original. But yeah, I mean, as far as the future goes, no one can really predict it. But to kind of guess, we can look at what the past has done. And I'm pretty sure the number's like 47, I think it was 47 days was the average that Hex has taken to do a double. And so how cool is that? I know we finished our 13th double the other day. And, it's still so early. We're still making a lot of gains. Hey, what's up, Wrench ET? All right, let me try and get quicker on these questions. It says, bro, let's see, how can the new people be early to Hex if it's already 8,000x'd? Yeah, so I'll explain to you what I've explained before a million times. And I appreciate you asking that, because it's a genuine question, right? How can someone like myself or all these other Hexicans say that it's still so early? Well, how we can say that is by how it's designed, right? Hex was designed to do in 2.5 years, it was designed to do 10,000x, which is pretty much already done. It's done about like 9,500. And how we can recommend that is because, like I said, it's the best financial product in the world that you can ever have. A lot of people, they want yield, right? So they'll go give their keys to BlockFi or Celsius, things like this, middlemen that actually are centralized entities that control, the yield, and they try to earn money. And we've seen with similar companies to those in the past that they had problems, right? Or they just completely shut down because they weren't able to continue generating yield, things like this. Hex is a financial product, and it's the first financial product to be more secure than Bitcoin. And when you look at Bitcoin, all you can do with Bitcoin is buy and sell it. There was this narrative that you used to be able to build apps and things like this on Bitcoin, but they quickly shut down that narrative as a community, and that's where Ethereum came out. But the reason that I say is Bitcoin did 6.5 million X from a penny to $65,000, and Hex is designed to do that and then some. And so when you have a product that even in 1 year, if you stake for 1 year, the average APY is around like 11 to 13%. And where can you get that kind of yield elsewhere? You've got a lot of people, like I mentioned, like Robert Kiyosaki, that have been in Bitcoin, that are successful, but they understand the inflation crisis, right, that we're all going through. And that's really what it is. And is it a inflation crisis? If you don't have any assets, you're going to be priced out of assets very quickly, because the rich understand that things like Hex, things like cryptocurrency in general, that they're kind of more of a safe haven and more of a hedge. And so, like I said, the reason I said that is because if you look at what Hex has done in under 2 years, we're the top 3 cryptocurrency. And this is with all the gatekeeping that we've had. Imagine when companies like CoinMarketCap and all these other people actually start to give it the recognition that it deserves. And even without that, we don't need them, right? Even without that, we've done so much and gotten to top 3 thus far. And so it's definitely designed, especially with PulseChain coming out. The fees are going to be cheaper. You're going to get a copy. There's just so much to it that that doesn't happen in the traditional market, right? People ask that question, and they say, oh my God, but the market cap is going to be this number. And then Hex is kind of like that thing that's going to really break a lot of paradigms and has continued to do so. But it's going to break a lot of people's paradigms in what they thought was, anyways, I saw Rouse's comment. It's going to break people's paradigm to what they thought was their reality. And turns out that Hex is kind of just smashing those left and right. So let's get back up into the chat here. Yeah, there's a lot of people. There's like 215 people. So shout out to everyone. Michael Cox says, okay, Hex and Rex don't dip with the market. Yeah, dude, I'm going to have to ban you for that one. I don't want you promoting that Rex thing on BSC. It's completely contrary to what Hex is doing. And it's not good to be shilling that kind of stuff. So I'm actually going to time you out since you did do a little $2 donation, but next time you mention that, you're going to be banned. So don't shill your shitcoins in here. Funkmaster Hex, what a cool name. I love it. Says there's a very small window of time where mass adoption happens in a sector. We are in crypto at a time when it's about to tip the scales and explode. Great time to be where we are. Yeah, for the other person too. I mean, I was born in '96, but the way that I consider cryptocurrency is like stocks or the internet in the late '90s. And you had this, obviously the 2000s crash and stuff, but now you look at Amazon, Apple, Facebook, Google, their charts have literally just gone up and to the right forever. And same thing with those. It goes to show you that in a inflationary environment, people want to put their money where it's treated best and where it can grow the best. Apex Crypto, nice to see you, says, how much would you suggest someone putting into Hex? 10 to 15 grand? I wouldn't suggest anything. Let me explain here after I get some ice water. So it really comes down to so many variables, but what can you afford, right? They say with investments that you shouldn't be putting in like your rent money, stuff like this, money that you can afford to lose. But what it comes down to is things like Hex have really proven themselves, shown themselves over time. But from what I've seen is a lot of the gains have been realized and had for people that had longer time frames. So whatever you do put in, I mean, how long can you hold it for? And are you going to buy $10,000 worth of Hex and just hold it liquid? Or are you going to stake it and also be able to have part of the, shares of the money printer? So it really comes down to, like I said, a lot of different scenarios. But what I can say is, say if you bought Hex today, which actually is a decent day to buy because we're consolidating very well compared to the most recent high. We're like 9 cents under the recent high, which is awesome to not buy a top like that. But what I can say is when the PulseChain network does get launched and that block height happens, which is similar to a Snapshot, I guess, then you're going to have a duplicate. And so not only are you going to have, in your scenario, $10,000 to $15,000 worth of Hex on Ethereum, eHex, but you're also going to have the better, faster, newer network, and you're going to get that copy for free. And so if you stake through that, you're going to have 2 money printers as opposed to 1. So Bernard Conkin says, so how does participate in the burn, or is that done forever? How does one get into Pulse and Hex? So as far as PulseChain goes, there's a sacrifice, right? And similar to Hex or Ethereum or things like this when they first came out, there's a sacrifice. The thing though with PulseChain, even though that sacrifice window Richard had mentioned, initially it was cut off after 21 days, something like that, and then he left it open because dum-dums were still continuing to, sacrifice. What it comes down to is if you were to put your money in that sacrifice, you would be hit very, very hard because there's a 1.05 rate increase. And so instead of getting screwed over and trying to just get in the Pulse, which you're kind of very late anyways. Maybe you wait until PulseChain's actually launched and then do your buy when you know that the number is going to be more guaranteed. But it would make sense, in my opinion, if I was in that shoe and I didn't have any money sacrificed to Pulse, I would just buy Hex, because that way you're guaranteed at least that you're going to get a duplicate and a copy, like I mentioned with the previous comment, as opposed to, I sacrificed $10,000 worth and the rate increase was significantly higher. So is there any other way to get Hex other than Uniswap and its pillaging fees and Ethereum gas fees? Motley Investor, he's recommended I think it's Dharma. Don't ask me how to spell it. It's like DHARMA, Dharma.io, I think. But that's a website where you can onboard from fiat to Hex. And the cool thing actually about that website, even though I haven't used it, he has, is it locks in your price of the buy that day. So I think they still hold on to it for a couple of days, because a lot of exchanges do for fiat. But at least they're holding on to it for a couple of days. You can release it back into your Ethereum address, and you still didn't miss out on the price increase, things like that. Bernard, 3,500 is the onboarding minimum. Like I said, for the person that was onboarding $600, that's not very much money at all. When it comes down to the fees, thanks to Vitalik and the network being so congested, it's something that, there's the cost of business to get in. And as far as 3,500 goes, I mean, there's no minimum, right? But there is a number that you don't want to keep getting screwed by from all the fees. So you kind of have to do a cost benefit analysis there. Cheetah, I hate how the onboarding process is about 3 steps and can take up to 10 days. Yeah, I mean, crypto's definitely, like I said, it's so early, right? A lot of people at the beginning of the 90s and stuff like that had the same problems with putting their debit card online, things like that. And yeah, crypto's very new. It's very early. And so it goes to show you how much opportunity is out there. Do you think we will be able to sell stakes in the future if people don't want to unstake early? Yeah, Richard's mentioned that Firebun was actually the one that had written the code for tradable Hex shares. As far as how that works, I really don't know. But I think with things like PulseChain, there's going to be a lot easier ways to do that. You can buy Hex on Matic as well, low gas fees. Yeah, I mean, it's low gas fees relative, but you're also, not in control of your keys specifically, right? They do have the admin keys, and I've heard of a lot of people that had problems with their bridge specifically. But either way, if you're going to Matic, stuff like that, you still have to do the on-chain transaction, getting in there and getting out. So either way, you're going to be paying fees. I mean, there's no escaping the fees right now. It is what it is. But Max Speed, see you at the Crypto Sparbu Hex workshop and meetup in Seattle on 10/31. I don't think it was on 10/31. October 3rd. Yeah, I'll definitely be there. Whatever day it is, I'll be there. I thought it was October 5th, but either way, I'll definitely be there. Looking forward to that. All right, let me scroll down a little bit. Okay, and can you onboard with any ERC20 tokens? Is there a way to do it without all the gas fees and an exchange? No, not really. Not really. I mean, some people think that you can go to other exchanges that are centralized, right? But like I said, you're kind of doing the opposite of what crypto is intended for, because you're not actually the one that has the Hex or the crypto when you're buying on Coinbase, Kraken, stuff like that, whichever one has Hex. So even though the fees might be, say, $20 cheaper, it makes sense to, in my opinion, it makes sense to just pay the fee and know that you actually own it, as opposed to them trying to KYC you or freeze the funds for whatever reason. I personally just don't like middlemen being in control or in the middle of my money. Dancing on their graves. Yeah. It's Freddie really hit it out of the ballpark with this song, and a lot of you are going to love to hear it. What the hell is a T-share? A T-share is just 1 trillion shares. The shares in Hex are pretty much how the system determines you get paid out. So the more shares that you have, you'll get 20% more shares for each year that you lock up, for each year extra that you lock up. Similar to like a jumbo CD, right? Richard took a lot of the concepts, and instead of reinventing the wheel, he just took what already worked and honed it to be a little bit better. And I know I'm really, really far away on the chat, but like I said, up to 10 years, so 3,641 days, you can have up to a 3x in the shares, which are what pays you per day in Hex. What's up, Hex Fetty? How you doing? You know, Johnny, let me try and look at that. It's going to be on the YouTube, but we'll take a look here. Cause yeah, that was okay. It is deleted. Yeah, I was right. Okay, I'm just really far behind. Let me scroll down. I already told you. So it's a Etsy. You can go to hexmerch.com, or you can go to the other website that I was showing earlier, just etsy.com. And the specific vendor that I got this shirt was Crypto Styles USA, and you'll see all of their Bitcoin, Ethereum, all that good stuff. And Hex is one of them, and then this shirt was one of them too. Let's see. Raul Paul on Impact Theory talking about crypto, the Howey test, and not using leverage. I saw a little bit about that. So yeah, good times, good times. Hello and goodbye. Peace out, Cell. Let's see. Renab says the PAMPs go up so high that it's parabolic to a degree that it may go up and up to the left, like back in time on the spreadsheet while the price goes up. I know what you mean. Okay. Where gravity has no effect. Yes, yes. Hex is a dynamic system. The T-share goes up when the stake is ended. Exactly. Thank you for explaining that. Sorry, I'm late. Love your streams. Don't be sorry at all. Everyone's got their own lives to live. Hello, Hexicans. It's a great day to be Hexican. It really is. I mean, like I said, when you look at the weekly or the monthly, and all you see is just green, and there's no signs of red and no signs of dipping or like bear market, it's really cool because Bitcoin. I mean, I don't even know what Bitcoin's at, but I know that it topped out at 65,000, and I know that Hex has still been going up and to the right since then. I mean, right now Bitcoin's at 45,000, Ethereum's at 3,333, and Hex is at like 41 cents on Nomics. But yeah, I made a tweet saying like one of these is not like the other. All right, let me get some more water here. Yeah, shout out to everyone watching. We got 233 people watching. If it's your first time, feel free to subscribe and like. That way other people can, hear the information as well. Okay, cool. So Tommy says, if PHEX launched at the same price as EHEX and EHEX didn't drop, it's just another 2X. Is that really that crazy to hope for? I don't think so. I mean, we know that literally the whole system state is being copied over. And what does that mean? So all the NFTs, all of the other ERC20 tokens, that's great. But what that means is the liquidity pools too. And so with the liquidity pools the way that they're at, and the orders and stuff, that's what has set Hex's price where it's at currently. So yeah, I think it's going to kind of launch a parity, and then obviously that's where it's just going to launch. But then the market's going to decide, which network they want to pump up, sell, all that good stuff. That's where the real fun will kind of happen. Remembering that mistakes are sometimes being sold too, more bought than sold according to Staker.app. So this, let's see, that slows the fall in available supply. Supply is going down regardless. Hexo almost has me believing in willing that the price is going to $2.01. Why not? Why not, right? I definitely think dollar Hex is a lot. It's around the corner a lot sooner than many of us can think. And when it happens, that's going to break your paradigm, and the market's just going to keep going up. And even the people today, like Robert Kiyosaki, maybe he got in at 40 cents, maybe 50 cents, stuff like this, but they're not going to look in the past and say, oh, I wish I could have got in at this price. No, they're going to look at this price right now, say once it's $1, and they're going to be like, oh, well, hey, at least I'm here before Hex is $100, before Hex is $1,000, etc. It's all just relative. And the people that are complaining that, man, I didn't get in as early as the OGs did, well, it's only 600 something days old. So 600 something days after the day that you get in, you're going to be in a similar position that a lot of the OGs were in. And then those people that are getting in that day, say day 1300, they're going to be, sad that they didn't get in early. But it's just all relative, right? If you count all of the losses that you had in life, like, you just have a miserable life. Hey, what's up, Hexagon Greenhorn? All right, let me keep scrolling down. There's a lot that I'm missing here. Yeah, so Hex is completely, rights reserved is what it is. So there's been people that have tried to mimic it, right? There's been, I'm not going to say the names, but yeah, there's been people that used to be in the Hex community that thought that they could make a better one, right? And since the code can't be copied, they don't have all of the fundamentals and things like that Richard has come up with. And we've seen that, Wise had like locked liquidity. And you look at their chart and it had one green candle up, and then the rest is just doom. And the other thing that's cool is for people that try to copy Hex and say they were going to airdrop Hex holders. Well, there's this thing in Hex called the origin address, and the OA can literally, that has such a big supply, can literally just dump the fork or the copy and pretty much ruin their price. Ross, my favorite troll. Ross is definitely my favorite troll. And his comment just skipped, but he says, he says, don't lie, Bran. You can also send your Bitcoin to me and get double in return. Exactly. That's awesome. Let's see, Thoughts Child. So yeah, a lot of these comments kind of missed. Like I said, there's 233 people watching, so I'll try and go quicker about less commentary, more direct. So Yo Bran, how about that DJ Lethal shout out this week? He's second generation in my onboard chain, brother. Your boy here is bringing the heat. Hey, that's awesome, man. Shout out to you. Yeah, there's a lot of big hitters. I mean, like I said, people like Funding Jim, right? Gary, he has access to George Gammon, to Robert Kiyosaki, to this billionaire network of very, very successful people. And those people, they talk a lot, and they want to not only invest in real estate, which is cool, but they also want to invest in other things like crypto because they know that that's not going away anytime soon either. Will you be wearing your Richard Hart costume, Ballietbran? That's a good question. Don't even know what I'll be wearing, but that's a definitely good question there. Let's see. These Nuts 420. Gotta love that name. It says, if I have an active stake from Staker.app smart wallet, I can get access to Pulse duplication. Yep. So yeah, you'll be able to, if you have the Staker.app smart wallet, the Hex, and you could do the sacrifice from there back in the day. And then, you'll get that copy there as well. So whether you're on Staker.app, whether you're on go.hex.com, there's going to be like a little toggle. And you're also going to be able to change it in the MetaMask network because you need to specify whether you're on Ethereum or PulseChain. But there will be a little toggle that says, eHex or, Hex. So it'll be easy. You'll definitely, you won't have to do much work for it. They're already developing the code to do that. Yeah, and Eric's definitely a good person to reference to as well. I know he had kind of gotten in, and then he had gotten more in from some of his other holdings, I think, from what he had mentioned. And this guy is a cool story to listen from. So he says, 10 to 15,000, food for thought. T-share prices are going up fast. 5 weeks ago, I got almost 3 T-shares for 5,000. Today, 5,000 won't even get you 1 T-share. Yeah, that's exactly right, Eric. Thank you for jumping in. It's important to listen to the other people, and it's almost counterintuitive to some of these other things, right? In other cryptocurrencies, you wouldn't want to buy a top because who knows, that might be at the start of a bear market. But especially we haven't even had the announcement of PulseChain yet. We're definitely continuing to make new all-time highs almost every single week, every single month. And that's good advice. I appreciate you saying something. Wes E says, do you need to have at least one T-share in order to print hex? Nope. So any amount of it, right? So that's why I'm trying to stray away from T-share in general, because most people are just priced out. I mean, $7,700 for a T-share, that's or 76 right now. That's really expensive. Even if you divide that by 3 because you want to stake for 3,641 days, that's still expensive for people. So it's just relative to the system itself. So you might have one share, you might have, a million, a billion, whatever. It's just relative to how many shares you have compared to everyone else. That is what will give you that payout per day based on the staking percentage as well. Mark Pelra, I got 3 shares for $300 right before the airdrop. It's all too funny. Hey, that's awesome, man. Super cool. Yeah, so try to avoid the T. It's just shares, right? Shares are the inflation that you're rewarded. So you have a 3.69% annual inflation, and Bitcoin had inflation too, but it's just your piece of the pie. So you get shares by staking, and since you're staking, you're exchanging your hex for shares at that day's share rate. And so based on the amount of shares that you have, like I said, whether it's 1 share, whether it's a million shares, a billion shares, a T share, you're getting paid out per day based on the staking percentage of the total one. Right now it's like under 10%. And so the average APY is like 40%, something like that. When did I first get into Hex? Been following Richard since early 2017, since March, and got in Hex on day 1. Been in ever since, been buying ever since, etc. Hey, what's up, Cookie Boys? This is another awesome person in the community. Got a lot of good connections. I think he said he stopped by was Khalifa's place the other day to wish him happy birthday. So that's definitely cool. Yeah, we're not promoting this. Any mention of that is just going to be deleted. So hopefully the mods get that message too, since I'm late on the chat. But yeah, I mean, PulseChain's already going to have its copy, which is going to be a lot cheaper. And at the end of the day, I mean, hey, if you want to go over to that network and take a look, you can. But I guarantee you it's not going to be as successful as Hex. And I guarantee you it's not going to be as secure as Hex. And a lot of people, they think, oh, Hex has already gone up 8,500x. I want to buy this other shit coin that's way cheaper, and maybe it'll go up in price too. And it's just counterintuitive thinking, because you want to stick with the thing that's working, not the thing that nobody has ever seen stand the test of history. So let's keep scrolling down. Let's look for some questions. Morning from Thailand. Hey, what's up, Fuvers RS? I love that name. What's your price prediction for eHex, pHex, and Pulse? That's a really good question. 5 years. I mean, here's what I'll tell you Richard's price prediction is. He thinks by beginning of 2027, with that random line, I mean, that number is pointed up to like $1 million per X. And not saying that's going to happen, but what I do know is dollar is nothing. Once we hit $1, it's going to be like a penny, where now we're at 41 pennies. I mean, in 1 year, let's see. I mean, in 1 year from now, I think we could easily be at like $10, if not a lot more. And probably for eHex and pHex, I would say. For Pulse, I mean, I would probably just try and mimic what Ethereum's done, right? So the 10,000x in 2.5 years, I would say at a very minimum is what I think Pulse could be capable of. It's really tough to say, right? I mean, predictions are pretty much just, pie in the sky stuff, but all you can really do is look at what it's done in the past and kind of just guess what it might do in the future. But the thing with Hex is, like I said, it's like an S curve. And if anyone knows anything about that, or parabolas, I mean, as you start to hockey stick up and curve up, the momentum gets a lot faster, it gets a lot more intense. And, we're still at this flat line relative to where Hex is going to go. And so once it starts, ticking up and notching up, then you're just going to see $100 Hex, $1,000 Hex, like, moving in tens of dollars as opposed to pennies. And it's just going to continue changing the game and changing the paradigms. And a lot of people wonder oh, it could never go up that high. Hey, what's up, Motley? I saw your shield, dude. That thing looks awesome. But yeah, a lot of people think oh, it could never go up that high. And Hex just continues to kind of demonstrate that this is a programmed currency. I mean, so is the dollar, things like that. The dollar's not on any gold standard or anything. It's not backed by anything. And so we're kind of just showing that our programmed money is better than theirs. Yeah, Bo Motley, that's cool. Yeah. Oh, he's going to a retirement party. That's awesome, dude. Shout out to you, Motley. The chat just skipped a whole bunch, but yeah, it was really cool to see everyone, at least in the photos. I think RG3, I've got a little screen share that I can do. Let me do this little screen share. So yeah, really, I'm not sad, but the next time I'll definitely do my best to make it, because that just sounds like such a good time. But so this is the production for Freddie's song, that the Furu eulogy that he was talking about, and they all did like a music video. So we can kind of just take a look here. So we got cool. So we got Cabana, Big K, RG3, Kinetics. Don't know who this guy is, but Axis, David Feeder. Dude, David Feeder, he looks like one of those ZZ Top guys, He's really grown that beard out. So that's awesome. Not recognizing this guy right now, but Freddie, obviously, Maddie, Joe Exotic, Kareem the Dream, Nardo, Motley here, and Super Hex. I like Super Hex. He's a good guy. And, not sure who this guy is, but or this guy. But Crypto Coffee, looking fly, looking like a model. We got Joker with the actual clown makeup. So, because on his show he just wears like a digital skin, and then we got Kinetics and like I said, RT3. So that's really cool. The like I said, the music video was being shot today, and shout out to those guys. I mean, it's really cool to see the talent in the community, and we saw what Freddie could do with the anthem, and that was awesome. Really pumped up. But this next one, it reminds me of like Eminem's early days, where he kind of has other background noises as well, and almost like other characters. It's really cool. Is the Staker app only for Hex? Yes, it's only for Hex. They might have something integrated with Pulse in the future, but as far as I know, it's just for Hex right now. And they're going to be coming out with what was I going to say? Oh, a version 2 of Staker app. So Meditation in Motion says, oh, by the way, smash that like for the hell of it. Thanks. Yeah, whether you like it, dislike it, I don't care. Just press the button. The algorithm loves you either way. So will we get the duplicate of Hex if it's stored on the Trezor? Yes. And honestly, that's one of the best ways that, in my opinion, you can. I'm a big fan of Trezor. I like to order many of them and diversify the net worth as the net worth grows up. Say you had $1 million, example, net worth. Well, you might not want that all in one Trezor in case someone puts a gun to your head. Maybe you have 3 wallets of 333,000 or 4 wallets of 250. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Trezor. Yes, you will be getting the copy on the Trezor. It's going to be exactly like everything else that gets a copy. And yeah, good on you for owning that. My recommendation is, if you do own a Trezor as well, consider the backup phrase, like the secret phrase, I mean, because there's the pin that you type in, and then if someone gets your Trezor and they just type in the pin and you didn't have any secret phrase behind that, then all of your funds can be accessed. But if you have like a hidden wallet, I think is what it's called, then they can't access that unless they knew what your password was. So you should definitely consider that if you haven't already. But yeah, you'll definitely get awarded it, no problems. And myself, a lot of people in the Hexagon community have hardware wallets as well. Yeah, no, I didn't Vogel. Yeah, I had something else, man. But hey, it's all good. And the thing, like I said, is, you know, there will be opportunities that you miss in life and that you don't get to make. But as opposed to like pretending the world's over and stuff, like, you know, just realize that there's going to be more opportunities in the future. I mean, I was happy enough that he showed me the song early, that he invited me. And like I said, the next time I get invited, I'll definitely try and make that, as long as no other events are going on. So there's going to be plenty more of that. I mean, a lot of us Hexicans are here not just for 15 years, 10 years, but for longer. It really is a lifelong financial product. And so there's going to be a lot more parties. There's the Vegas party, etc. And it really just is the beginning. So Rick Schmitz, good to see you at Ballietbran. Good to see you too. And shout out to you for defending Funding Jim on Mitch Ray's channel. I know he's got a lot of, you know, trader mods and stuff like that we talked about last time. But at least Rick Schmitz, when Funding Jim had mentioned Hex, all he mentioned was Hex. One of the guys permanently banned him, and then this guy, Rick Schmitz, he had unbanned him and kind of stood up to one of the mods. So I thought that was really cool. I've been in that situation too, where I unbanned someone that another mod had banned, and you know, you got to stand your grounds. Michael Picone says, I've been looking at my Hex earnings and it has been stagnant. Why is this? Haven't seen my number change in a while. I don't know. You tell me. That's a really good question, right? Because if we just look at what Hex has done from the weekly, let's just take a look again. Let's go to uniswap.hex.vision. I mean, this is what Hex has done weekly. And then if we go down even here, like, you know, for this many months, Hex has just gone green. So if yours is stagnant, I mean, you're going to want to look at the data. I mean, where are you looking at it? Are you looking at it on go.hex.com, on Staker.app? Because there's a refresh button too on Staker.app that sometimes it won't refresh unless you like scroll the screen down and it does its little load. So maybe that's what's going on. Really not too sure. But oh, we rated over. Oh, cool, DJ. I didn't notice that, man. Thank you. And yeah, shout out to DJ Cryptomatic too, right? He makes really amazing songs and remixes. And actually, one of Freddie's songs debuted. His second song debuted on DJ Cryptomatic's show. So if you like all sorts of music, you know, hip hop, rock, you know, all sorts of music, country, he plays a very wide variety and is very skilled. Fact fiat. Yeah, I mean, it's disgusting, right? It's really disgusting because as someone myself that's, I shouldn't say libertarian, but that's very cypherpunk, right? I don't like to see America going to wars and other countries going to wars just in the name of nothing, right? Or just a very silly excuse. And when it comes to things like fiat, they have the control of the central banks and all this stuff and Federal Reserves. They can print as much as they want, right? But with things like Hex, if it did become, say, global reserve currency like the dollar did, well, Hex can't just be printed out of thin air. We know that it has a locked supply and inflation rate that doesn't go up or down. It just stays at 3.69 annual. So for things like war that are very destructive in the world, they would need to do literally a war tax, and most likely no one would want to pay for that, because we've seen how much destruction it's had. So yeah, I'm definitely a fan of what Richard's doing, because as there's many billionaires in the world, Richard's one of them. He's not trying to go to space. He's not trying to go to Mars and all that stuff. He's trying to stay here on Earth and fix the stuff here first and then do everything else. But you got to fix the money first, and then you can fix the world from there. So Richard really understands that. In his t.me/Scivive, SCIVIVE, he talks about fixing the world and how to fix your health, relationships, you know, all of life. So not only is he, you know, a master in self-help and things like that, but he's written free books for you to listen to and to read as well. All Things Funnel says, understanding T-shares is like a Hex graduation. It took me 6 months. Yeah, it took me a long time too. And, it was actually my first hangout with RG3 because he was in the Seattle area that I had a lot of stakes kind of ending after big payday, or I think it was, 2021, like early 2021 that they were ending. And it was until I talked to RG3 and him and I sat down that I realized, man, most of my staking is, leaning towards the beginning. And this is a product that you can launch all the way out to 15 years. So I'm happy that I had, rebalanced my portfolio. And you're right, the shares themselves can be as complex as you want to make it or as simple as you want to make it. But what we see is everything's working good. And the shares, even if you didn't understand them, you could still kind of stake long and strong, like Richard's talked about, like a lot of us have talked about with CD ladders. And even if you didn't understand it, you would still be able to benefit from it. So, all right, let's get back to the chat here. What's up, DJ? Thank you. Yeah, you can't copy the Hex community. That's exactly right. We've seen people try to almost like vampire attack the Hex community and go into other communities, and it just never worked out. You can copy Hex, but you can't copy Richard Hart. Yeah, and like you can copy the principles of Hex and like the idea that it's a CD, but its actual code is like not like it's open source to view, but not to copy. And he's made that very clear that he would sue the hell out of anyone that ever tried to. Stopping in from Wave 3 and Cultivate Crypto's channels, like and subscribe. Awesome, dude. Big Sky Traveler. Thanks, man. And to Saturn, Big Sky. Yeah, shout out, dude. It's really cool because, like I said, the other person mentioned that you can't copy the community. It's been really cool to meet people like Dollar Cost, people like Motley, everyone that I do the Nights of Crypto with, because you can only grow so much when it's just yourself and when you're just streaming. That's why when I'm streaming, I like to generally just interact with the chat because you guys kind of keep me entertained and ask questions that hopefully I can help out with. But when it comes to the other people, I mean, Motley, Crypto Coffee, RG3 Connects, they're building things on PulseChain and have ideas around Hex and Pulse that are really cool. And so I think it's cool that that I have that opportunity to listen to those guys, to be around people, right, that have been a lot more experienced in business and things like that. So you want to surround yourself with people that are successful, that are positive, right, and that are going in the same direction as you. If you are like one person and you're surrounded, with a whole bunch of homeless people and a whole bunch of druggies, well, guess what? Even if you don't do it now, you're probably going to end up in a similar situation if that's your sphere of influence. Let's see. What a lot of people fail to understand is that when their stakes come to an end, there is no need to draw all your liquid Hex for fiat, as there's no better place to keep your money than staking again with Hex with low PulseChain gas fees. Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to selling for fiat, like there's just so much that goes into that. So many things. It's not just as easy as just selling for fiat, right? There's other factors too. But even if you do, that T-share rate and that amount of Hex that it costs to get those T-shares, that only goes up into the right forever. And so a lot of people that are holding liquid or that are kind of just sitting on their hands right now, they're going to be priced out of the previous amount of shares that they had in the past. And yeah, the system definitely doesn't wait for anyone. So it's definitely a truth engine just in general overall. Basat says, I rode my bike over 35 miles today. Damn, that's awesome. When I do cycling, I don't ride my bike like you do, but when I do it, it's just indoor cycling. I think it's like 13 or 15 miles. It's whatever like 45 minutes does, which is, around 13 to 15 miles. So the fact that you did 35 is really commendable. I mean, what great exercise. And talk about low impact too. It's not like running where it's very impactful on your knees. Mark Pelra says, it's all crazy what goes on. Glad I had the balls to get in the space hot and heavy. Yeah, it really is cool. I mean, And someone mentioned it the other day, but we talk about Hex being designed very similarly to Bitcoin, and that Bitcoin did 6.5 million X from a penny. Well, Hex used to be a penny too. And even though Bitcoin was a penny once, Richard Hart didn't even discover Bitcoin until 2011, right? And the price was around $30 when he had bought in, which was the top. So we're not even at $1. We're not even at the price that Richard bought in Bitcoin terms relative to where we're at in Hex. So it really goes to show you how early we're in. And when you have people like TJ Lethal, people like this congresswoman that Kinetics had on, we just see a lot of smart people that understand the system of what it's doing and where it's going. And now we see them understanding Hex and how it's working too. So it's cool to see the other people getting it, understanding it, and realizing that, hey, it's definitely here to stay. I'll try to scroll back up and answer some of the questions, but it did skip. So we're at a G's question. So eHex and or pHex. Well, if I had one or the other, I would obviously just say Hex, which is pHex, over eHex, because I mean the network is newer, right? And it's Richard Hart control, or not Richard Hart, but it's Richard and whoever else that kind of done the code that are going to control the network, as opposed to, say, Vitalik and the miners. And what we saw with Vitalik is, sure, Hex went up a lot in a year, things like that, year and a half, but the actual cost of the Ethereum gas went up more than the Hex price. Because I remember it used to be a penny to stake, to end stake, and now it's ridiculously higher. So I definitely would say pHex, but that's assuming that pHex, the PulseChain has already launched. If I didn't have any, I would be getting Hex right now, because not only are you going to have eHex, but you're going to have Hex as well once that gets copied over to PulseChain. So, you're going to get two for the price of one, as opposed to just one or the other after the snapshot. And then who knows what the price is going to be after the snapshot happens and after the actual chain itself is launched. Because, if you thought that there was a lot of momentum and price increase right now, just wait till the actual snapshot is generally announced via the test network and things like that. Oh yeah, it was Cynthia McKinney. Okay, thank you, Archie. And so that's an ex-congresswoman, and I think it's actually this Tuesday that Whales Only and Kinetics are going to have her on again. So Whales is definitely still on Wall Street, still working for Wall Street, and I think that's cool that he'll be able to speak her language, and maybe they can relate a little bit more and talk a little bit more. We're getting PulseChain, by the way. My friend sits in a wheelchair today because he used to go jogging every single day, 50 years old. Yeah, I mean, there's things that you can do when you're young, and then there's things that you can't do. And I mean, it is, yeah, we know that it's very impactful on your knees. And especially if there's any slope up or down, it's just more impactful. So I'm a big fan of the biking or swimming. Swimming's great too. I mean, anyways. Is there anyone in the Hex community that invests in promotional ideas? So I know Overwatch, Rackham Rochelle, he Overwatch Partners, he promotional ideas. I mean, they're kind of working on I think an incubator type thing for Pulse. I mean, I know him and a lot of his buddies have wanted to work with things on PulseChain, and as far as promotional goes, I mean, there's a lot of Hexicans that just supply things themselves. People like Alan, 8-Bit Hex, and Crypto Spar Booth, they, in accordance with T-Money and freedomtv.info, they're traveling all of the U.S. states, and they're going to be here in Seattle, I think, next month. But as far as investing in promotional ideas, I guess you might have to be a little bit more specific. A lot of it's just community-driven and grassroots. Right, so the stickers that I placed in Seattle, that was because Crypto Coffee had given some to me, but a lot of it's just us doing it ourselves and trying to do the outbound messaging. Are there any downsides making my first stake for only a week? Ish, I would not recommend this at all. And let me explain in just a second here. So you're asking this question, and I've seen people that have messaged me saying, F hex, I staked for 70 days, and now my principal is more than what it is now because after the staking fees. What it comes down to is the staking in general, it's emulated to be similar to a CD, right? So if you're staking a week for 30 days, right now with the actual gas fees themselves on Ethereum and just with the cost to transact, because the network is so clogged, you're going to be paying, you're not going to be making much profit is what I'm trying to get at. And if you don't, like for me, as far as any stakes that I'm doing currently, or for my brother that I was onboarding, his minimum stake was 2 years out. And then the next one was 4 years out. And then the next one was 6 years out. It's not designed to do these low number of days. And here's the caveat, unless it's PulseChain, right? PulseChain will go back to, now it's probably profitable if you have a 1 month stake because the fee is not going to screw you over so much cutting into your profit. But if you just stake for a week, a month, things like that, you're probably going to regret it, in my opinion. Any advice on making a stake ladder with these gas prices? Well, the thing I will say is the gas price itself does fluctuate. You can go to hex.vision, and that's a website that has a whole bunch of all of the data you could ever want with Hex. It has all of that data that you could ever want. But hex.vision kind of shows you that there's fluctuations in the gas price. And generally on the weekdays, the gas prices are a lot higher than they are in the evenings and on the weekend nights. For my brother that we did the 2, 4, and 6-year stakes, we did that Friday night while the Discourse Syndicate was going. So Friday night at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard. As far as any advice on a ladder, I mean, if you can stake for all 15 years, I personally like getting paid every year. I mean, some people like getting paid biannually, a couple times a year, quarterly, things like that. But for me personally, from what I've learned from my experiences, I don't like to dilute the value of that t-shirt. I would rather have it be, as opposed to say, 45 stakes, something like that. I would rather do 15 stakes, one of each year. And that way you're also not paying an end stake fee the every single time that the other one ends. So that's just me. Will it be liquid or another stake? So it's going to copy the system state in the network exactly how it is now. So if you have liquid hex, say you have 1,000 liquid hex and you don't do anything with it, well, great. It's going to be 1,000 liquid hex on the PulseChain network once the network is launched. So it's going to be the exact system state that it is currently. So if you have 1,000 hex staked out for 15 years, great. It's going to copy over exactly. And so that includes the T-shares as well. It's still going to be the same amount of T-shares the same amount of hex for a T-share. So that number, say it's 18,600 as an example, that number, once that snapshot of the block height happens, that's going to get copied over exactly as well. It's not going to get restarted from zero like some have speculated that it might. Yeah, Marcavelli's in the house. Shout out to him. He also makes some music and whatnot, so you can definitely check him out. I think on SoundCloud is where it's at. Let's see, Marcavelli. If anything dumps, it dumps into one or the other hex option. Exactly, right? The Godwill in the past has bought 10,000 Ethereum at a time worth of hex and pumped up the price very significantly. That happened in April 2020. And what it comes down to is even if PHEX is the better network, guess what? Whales that can afford those fees, that the fees are nominal to them, they might just buy up that Ethereum hex dip because they're still going to be getting paid an amazing interest. So you never know what the other people are going to do. Yeah, don't apologize for the new questions. He says, so only hex holders will get a duplicate crypto with Pulse. No, so it's actually any ERC20 token and NFT. So the ERC 721s, which are NFTs, non-fungible tokens. If you have Chainlink, any crypto that's currently built on Ethereum, all of that's going to get copied over, but maybe one or two projects only because they were not direct, but because there were copies of Hex, and Richard doesn't want to incentivize that. So pretty much everything's going to be copied over this ERC 20 tokens. Most all ERC20 tokens. Yep, exactly. Okay, cool. Yep. Thank you everyone for answering. That's so cool. I love the chat, how everyone is answering each other's questions. I know, Max, I've seen a lot. So is the eHex to pHex airdrop only for wallets that have already sacrificed? That doesn't have anything to do with eHex or pHex. So if you sacrificed, you're going to be getting Pulse, right? Based on just a whole different amount of numbers. When it comes to eHex and pHex, if you didn't sacrifice, then you're just going to get copied what you currently had on the Ethereum network. For the wallets that sacrifice, that's just going to qualify you for PulseChain at a zero value when the network and token itself launches. All right, Vogel with another good one says, depends on how much you stake. If you stake 100,000 for 30 days, etc. Yeah, that's definitely good advice. That's good advice. Yeah, I know. To the other person's questions, it might just be to like test the waters, but yeah, to Vogel's point, if you do have a large enough amount of Hex, then yeah, you'll be paying a fee to stake it, to end stake it, and then whatever the interest and profit is in between there. So, but yeah, for me, I've kind of just, like I said, my own experience, I've kind of just learned that, hey, I'm comfortable with just staking the way that I mentioned. So, but yeah, thank you, Vogel, for clarifying. Let's say I have a 2-year stake. Do I need to do anything or move anything once PulseChain gets released? No, you don't need to do anything. It's going to be copied over exactly, whether it's the MetaMask or however you have your Hex now, that's going to be the same way that you access the PulseChain. So things like MetaMask are like have a certain version of wallet that can interact with multiple chains. So that's what I'll be using to interact with PulseChain as well. But yeah, you don't have to do anything. There's no claiming or anything like that needs to be done. It's just going to take your exact address, and that I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same address, but that address is going to be the same address, I believe, on PulseChain. It's just going to be a different network. If you can't handle the current gas prices, you don't deserve to be a Hexagon. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough because, like I said, some people just have a couple $100, stuff like that. And honestly, at that rate, if you just have like a couple $100 and that's all you can afford, I mean, you're probably just better off waiting for PulseChain. Or, I mean, because with the fees just being so high to do literally anything, it's going to be eating into your profit so much. So yeah, it's definitely a good point. I mean, and that's the beautiful thing of PulseChain, right? There's so much money that has gone into fees just for trying to get some Hex, things like that. But with PulseChain, you're not going to have nearly as much money getting wasted and going to the miners, which is a negative externality. And so if that money can instead be spent on, say, Hex or something else that you want to, then you're not going to be rewarding those miners. You're going to keep that economic energy, and you're going to be able to have more. For real, I will get Pulse when Pulse launches. No. You don't get any Pulse if you have Hex. You don't get any Pulse unless you sacrificed. That's just the way it works. What you're going to get is a copy of whatever you have, whether it's Hex, Chainlink. You're going to get that copy on the PulseChain, but as far as Pulse itself goes, which is like Ethereum's ETH, you're not going to get any of it. I mean, Richard mentioned that he might give you like a little bit of a freemium like Matic did, like a small amount to where you can move your airdrops, but that's not set in stone. And unless he mentions it, then yeah, that's not set in stone. I get the sack like Legion of Boom. Yes, you get a copy of on Pulse at the Snapshot as long as you hold the keys. Yeah, exactly. You're going to get a copy on the PulseChain. But as far as the Pulse goes, yeah, that's only going to the people that sacrificed. So the Snapshot's going to happen in between the testnet launch and the actual launch of the chain. So that's why I was saying it's so bullish for the testnet to be launched. Not only launched, but the announce of the launch. Because, yeah, once the testnet is launched, sometime between then and probably like a month, Richard has speculated, but probably from then to a month is when the actual mainnet's going to be launched. So sometime in between there, whether it's a month range, is going to be that block height that it records all the data for the start of the PulseChain. Yep, stables are going to, I believe USDT is a ERC20 token. So yep, that's going to get copied over everything that's an ERC20 token, which I believe Tether is. The sacrifice was 2 weeks, about 10K Pulse. Was there any bonus points also dropped? As far as the numbers go, I mean, it's kind of just in the weeds right now. I guess it doesn't really matter until the testnet comes out because people are still sacrificing, even though they're getting a huge ding against them. So you double your hex bags, get a copy on PulseChain. Yep. Thanks, Archie, for answering. Marcavelli says, I'm sure there's a list of specific tokens copied somewhere. All right. Yeah, we're going for about like an hour and 40 minutes. I guess if I haven't answered your questions, try and get them in, and we'll go for a little bit longer. This is awesome. Oh my God. Yeah, it really is awesome. Yeah, G has a very good point, and I've mentioned this before too, which is why I'm such a fan of staking, because if I hadn't staked over like 90% of my bag, maybe I would have sold after the first 1000x or the second 1000x or the third, or 5000x. Oh my gosh. So the hardest question for Hexicans is, when are you selling? Are you selling at a 10x, 100x, 1000x, millionx, etc.? And yeah, that's a very good question. And that is the beautiful thing compared to Bitcoin, right? There's a lot of people that bought Bitcoin at a penny, sold it at $10 or $100. Great. They made out a like a bandit, right? And maybe that was enough for them to retire, and that's awesome. But if you ever do sell out all the way, you want to at least keep some of the principal to free ride in case that coin happens to go, like I mentioned, from that $100 to that $65,000. Because even that small amount that you kept, maybe it was 5%, 10%, that would turn into so many times more than your principal if you had let it into to free ride. Let's see. Will PHEX copy? Okay, let me read this again. Hi, will the PHEX copy of my staked EHEX be staked as well? Yeah, yep. So, if you have staked HEX right now, as long as it's staked throughout the snapshot and stuff, it's going to be staked on the PulseChain when you receive it. And it's going to have the same amount of interest. It's going to have the same amount of shares, etc. If you didn't have it staked and you had it liquid, say you had 1,000 hex that was liquid and you didn't do anything with it, then yep, that's going to be 1,000 hex liquid on PulseChain. What wallet will be used for PRC20 tokens? I mean, right now, anything that can hold ERC20 tokens can hold PRC20 tokens theoretically, right? But what it comes down to is you want to make sure that wallet, like something like MetaMask, Trezor can enact with the MetaMask. That's what I do. But what it comes down to is MetaMask can access multiple chains, right? It can access Ethereum. It can access, I think, like Ren and all these different test networks. So if you have something that can't access those multi-chains, then it's going to be a little bit more of a stickier situation for you to be able to, move that over and be able to interact with that. So, because the last thing you want is to have your hacks or your crypto on a wallet that's not capable with the MetaMask or the multi-chains, and then you're kind of just sitting on your thumbs wondering, hey, I see it, but I can't access it. Can you explain the whole people are still sacrificing situation? The website says the sacrifice is over. Where are these people sacrificing to, and how much pulse per? Yeah, I can't answer how much pulse they're getting per dollar because I'm not doing the math. It was a 1.05% increase per day, subsequent days, right? So I think Richard mentioned like that every 14 days it would like 2x or 3x, something like that. But what it comes down to is it was you can go to like PulseChain.com or Pulse.info, and then at the top right you would link your wallet. But I'm highly recommending, and this is a recommendation, that people don't sacrifice right now, because Richard has mentioned it. I know the website says that it's not, but so many dum-dums kept sacrificing that he didn't want them to, cry like the world was over and cause a whole bunch of FUD. Instead, he's going to give them what they're worth after the 1.05% increase daily, but it's just not worth it, right? Think about how many days it's been after the official sacrifice and just adding that 1.05% increase for each day. It goes up significantly. So you might as well put on your Galaxy Brain suit and actually like just get a direct copy, because at least that's 100% that you're getting for free, right? It's a 1-to-1, as opposed to who knows what that value is going to be. It's going to, like Mark says, it's going to be super diluted. And just if it was me, I'd be having Hex right now, because guess what? With Hex, at least you're having gains that are able to be realized right now. I mean, if you're staking it, especially, you're going to be earning interest every single day. But with PulseChain, like I said, who knows when that's going to be launched? It might be the end of the year. We're lucky to know when it's actually going to be launched, because it can take longer for software. So I would just have Hex or whatever ERC20 token that you liked, and just hold on to that for the snapshot, and then sell for Pulse if you wanted. But to be sacrificing for Pulse now, it's just not a high IQ example. I have no idea. Like I said, you're going to have to do the math, but I'll tell you, it's not worth it. That's what I'm saying. It's not worth it at all. All right, we'll do a couple more questions. 255 people watching. Shout out to everyone. Thank you for everyone tuning in. The channel's growing immensely. It's growing so much, and it's cool that we don't have a scarcity mentality, right? People like Gerardo, people like Hodl Dog, their channels are growing awesomely as well, but so are all the Hexicans, and it's cool to see that that everyone can kind of share the wealth and has different perspectives and things like this. And we're definitely teaching people to fish. But so this person, iRemy, says there's only one Hex, so it's being moved from Ethereum network to Pulse network. No. So you're right. There is only one Hex right now, and it's just being copied over. So there's going to be two Hexes, right? There's going to be eHex, which is the current Hex we have now, but then there's going to be this exact code. It's audited. All that stuff is going to stay the same. Nothing's going to be changed, but it's the exact code, and it's just literally going to get copied since it's software, a control alt paste. And anyways, it's going to be pasted over to PulseChain. So you have one Hex right now, but then you're going to have two Hexes on two different chains. So Ethereum chain, which is the older version, archaic version, the high fee version, etc. And then you're going to have PulseChain, which is cheaper, faster, more efficient, more reliable, etc. And yeah, for PulseChain, for the person that was asking, can you do a 70-day stake, 30-day stake, 1 week? I think with PulseChain is going to be a lot more reliable than those similar behaviors on Ethereum, because you're not getting screwed over by the gas fees and the calculations. Yep, exactly. Yep. Marcavelli's definitely right. He allowed it because people would be complaining otherwise. How to get Pulse early other than sacrificing? You don't. Simple answer, you don't. Alex Cobb, I sold at 50x, but likely had also staked from day one. If not for staking, I would have sold out. See, exactly what I'm saying here. Staking is great as it protects you from yourself. It really does. You never know how high something's going to go. And if everyone had their hex liquid, then yeah, the price wouldn't be as high because staking prevents that sell pressure from happening unless they want to emergency on stake and then screw themselves even more on top of selling early. So it really is true. I mean, how many people, like I mentioned, held from a penny to $65,000 Bitcoin? I am maybe saying like 1 to 10 people, if that. Like such a small amount of people that actually have the means, that actually had the keys to hold for that long. Our new stakes on PulseChain starting at a new share price. Nope. It's going to be the current share price. Yep. So yeah, Yamaleth Valley. So yep, it's going to be the exact share price that it is when the snapshot happens. So none of us knows when that's going to be, but sometime between the testnet being launched and the actual main network being launched, you got about like a month period from what Richard has mentioned. Sometime in between there will be a day in a block height. And once that block height is hit, it's going to record all the data. And then that's going to be the actual snapshot that the main net launches from. It's going to launch from that system state and have all of that data. So yeah, it's not going to start out at 10,000 like Hex was on day one. It's probably going to start out at 18,000 something, or maybe 19,000 something if the T-share rate has gone up that high. So if one has liquid Hex, one can choose whether to stake on Ethereum or PulseChain or not stake, right? So yeah, if you have liquid Hex, if you had liquid Hex right now after the copy, you would have liquid Hex on Ethereum and PulseChain. Yeah, you could totally stake on either network after that. Do you think the Pulse token will have a similar price appreciation to Ethereum? Yeah, I do. I definitely do. And Richard's talked about that as well. I do have clips of that on my channel too. Like what could and I don't like to think of price because no one knows with all the decimals and all of the supply, but I like to think of in like terms of X or percentage. So I think we could definitely do what Ethereum has done when it comes to PulseChain, which is 10,000x in 2.5 years. And if anything, if PulseChain is anything like Hex, it's probably going to surpass that. The math of Hex doubling since PulseChain closed versus Pulse credit appreciation of 5% a day, you are about even sacrificing now as compared to the last 3 days. High IQ move, actually. Hey, man, yeah, if you want to sacrifice, that's totally your prerogative, but that's definitely your prerogative, man. All right, we're going for like maybe one more question. Liquid means you can't do anything with it. Yeah, I don't even want to talk about sacrificing. Shouldn't have even brought it up. What's the percentage of wallets with Hex versus wallets that have staked? Well, we can actually find that out exactly on this website that I'll show you. This will be probably the last question that I answer. Let's get to apphex.win/charts. So yeah, Hex has a big supply, and then Hex has things like the origin address and things like this. What it comes down to about, a large percentage of the supply is not staked. So we can see right here. So 9.844% of Hex is staked. And then 17.8% of total Hex are sacrificed. So that's really, really bullish because, the amount that's sacrificed, that's most likely never, ever going to be touched or realized ever on the market. It's most likely just going to disappear forever. Hence why it's sacrificed. I don't know why that would ever come back into circulating supply if it wasn't sacrificed, But yeah, that's where the APY comes from, is the amount that's staked, which is under 10%, and then your comparison versus everyone else's in the actual average staking length. So for the average staking length, I don't even know what it is. It's like 5.8 years, I think. The annual percentage yield is about 38.17. Okay, let's get back in here. We'll see if there's anything. What will be the real advantage of PulseChain? So the real advantage is going to be, sure, they have Solana, Phantom, Polkadot, like you mentioned, AVAX, Binance Smart Chain. None of them have actually ever had a airdrop or system state copy that PulseChain is having. And so you're going to have a network. Let's stop sharing. So you're going to have a network already that has a lot of usage and people that can use the network, because all of their coins are already copied over. So you're going to have the network itself already having those things built on top of it. And then you have people right now, big names, that are already planning to build on PulseChain once the testnet comes out. I mean, it just comes down to what the better technology is. And there's a demand for cheaper fees, for more security, for code that is reliable. It just comes down to the better product at the end of the day. What needs to happen for institutional investors to enter? That's a good question. I mean, I think a lot of it comes down to like their own regulations, right? Like Grayscale, I'm pretty sure they've got like Ethereum, Bitcoin, things like that. But that just comes down to their institution and if they can invest in like Ethereum-based assets and things like that. I know Richard has talked about there being something similar to possibly a almost like a Grayscale type thing for Hex, but that's something that other hedge, Harvard people are working on, and that's separate from what he's doing, right? So he's going to let someone else kind of take that lead. All right, this is the last question. If Pulse duplicates the Tether stablecoin, that would be creating money with no backing, because the creators of each Tether back up each coin with $1, right? Yeah, it's printing money out of thin air, just like what Tether has been known to do. And there's a certain kind of rule that, hey, just like with regular fiat currency, that if not everyone's pulling it out at the same time, who knows? They might take their admin keys, administration keys, and they might just completely invalidate all of those transactions on USDC, USDT, things like that. But then they would also be in the opportunity of a lawsuit and kind of like stealing the customer's funds because they had some sort of value. So that's all we have. So there's no reason to wait to stake in order to get her. There's no reason to wait to stake. I mean, yeah, there pretty much is no reason to wait and stake. I mean, if you're going to have the better T-share rate today than you are in the future, and you're already considering staking, now you just got to consider how long you want to stake for. So that's all I have, everyone. It's been about 2 hours. Going to go hang out with some friends and eat some food at their place. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Hope everyone had a great day, and just realize how early we are in, and realize that things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, they've been around for such a long time relative to things like Hex. And Hex has only been around for under 2 years and is already top 3 cryptocurrency. Realize that things like PulseChain are coming out that are going to do the things that Ethereum had wanted to do, has talked about doing for 2017 for like 4 years and hasn't been doing. And, Hex is beating things to the market. PulseChain is going to be beating Ethereum 2.0 to the market. And that's pretty much all I have. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see everyone Wednesday for Nights of Crypto, and tune in. All right. Peace out, everyone.